Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, debt slaves, serfs, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And I've done a video before about the utter and complete mirage of former President Biden's miraculous claim to historic achievements in employment. And I pretty much torn him to pieces, and a lot of people have. It's not news anymore. But the outgoing Biden administration, the numbers are coming in, and it just reinforces what we've found out over the last 4 years, and that there was no economic employment miracle whatsoever. Most of the jobs created when Biden came into office were predominantly initially rehires from all the people that left work or were laid off or stayed home during the pandemic. And so all those rehires was a massive number. And then we also find a lot of people taking temporary jobs and part-time jobs and second jobs, and a lot of older people returning to the workforce because the 4 years of Biden was economically hard on everyone, particularly those struggling in the lower and middle classes. But the biggest part of it, of course, is that the people being hired over the last 4 years was this huge surge from having an open border in the South, and most of the hires were illegals, or if you prefer, migrants. And the January report going out from the outgoing Biden administration and Trump coming into office exhibits this beyond any reproach or reassessment. And that's at January of this last year, 2025. 1 million jobs went to migrants, and only 8,000 jobs went to people, native-born people in the United States. And so that tells everything. And March 24, 2024 of last year was revised down by 560,000. So that's another thing we saw. These artificial numbers were splashed all over the headlines, so it sustained the narrative that Biden somehow is creating all these jobs. And every time, a month or two later, they're revised down by huge amounts. In March 24 is a great example, revised down by 560,000 people. That's a huge, huge margin of error. And we also saw that last September as well, when there was a claim that 1 million jobs were reported, and then they discovered that it was a complete hoax, that 1 million jobs were not created, and it was revised down months after that. And once again shows that these numbers can be manipulated for some kind of political narrative. And we've seen this pattern. It's clear looking back now. The pattern is clear going back to 2019, that all the jobs have been going predominantly to migrants, and that this pattern follows the entire length of Biden's time in office. And in the last 4 years, 4.6 million jobs went to migrants, and only 700,000 to native-born American citizens. So the entire Biden claim, his historic claim for creating jobs, is a complete mirage and completely bogus and a hoax and a fraud. And we also have to factor in that the president generally isn't really that effective in creating jobs ultimately. So that's another thing we have to factor in, is that for presidents to claim that they've created all these jobs, there's economic forces in play, and that's how jobs are created. It's not usually by any kind of instigation or catalyst coming from the president himself. There's a whole lot of other factors going in. But anyway, I just wanted to point out once again, and people know this now, there was no employment miracle during the last 4 years. It was all complete fraud, and a complete fraud all the way up to the very last day that Biden was in office. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.